What is going on, guys? MMA Island team, we got the fight picks, and we've got UFC 254. We're at our point, we have only the bangers of fights, and starts us off with a really, really good fight in Alexander Volkov and Walt Harris. Man, everybody knows about Walt Harris. It was a really, really unfortunate situation that happened with Walt Harris with his stepdaughter. And he comes back and faces Alistair Overeem in one of my least favorite cards. I was this close to a perfect card. I just needed Walt Harris to beat Alistair Overeem. And Walt Harris drops Overeem. And I was like, yes! And then Overeem comes back and is able to finish Walt Harris. And not only am I depressed because Walt Harris doesn't come back with a win, but I don't get my perfect card. And then Alexander Volkov as well. I picked him with pretty high confidence to beat Curtis Blades because I thought he'd be able to defend the takedown and blast him with a head kick. I was right about one of those things. He was able to blast him with a head kick, but doesn't get the finish, and he isn't able to defend the takedowns. Never going to underestimate Curtis Blades again. But point is that this fight is very, very interesting for many reasons. Point is that like Alexander Volkov is a very good striker. One of the best strikers in the heavyweight division, in my opinion. And then Walt Harris, obviously a very good striker as well, being 13 of his 13 wins come by KO. So obviously we know how he wins the fight. But when we're looking at people who have knocked out Alexander Volkov, you look at guys like Derek Lewis, most KOs in heavyweight history. And then going back to Vitaly Minakov, one of the best, I guess you could say, Bellator fighters of all time.
Yes.
22-1. Tim Johnson KO, 2 months ago?
Tim Johnson, number one contender in Bellator right now.
But yeah, so the thing is man, looking at this fight, it's really, really interesting because both of these guys know how they win the fight. They're going to want to KO each other. But in a way, this kind of reminds me of the Alexander Volkov-Greg Hardy fight because of the striking ability. And I guess you can say vulnerability. Get vulnerability from Harris's side, but more so big step up in Hardy's side. When Hardy got matched up to fight Alexander Volkov, I was kind of like, whoa.
Okay, he stepped in.
You beat Juan Adams. Yeah, no, like who did he step in for again in that
JDS.
Fight? Wow, that would have been a great fight. I actually totally forgot about that. Wow. So yeah, like as I mentioned, Greg Hardy facing Juan Adams. It's like, okay, you beat Juan Adams, probably should. Beats Ben Sassoli, and then that gets turned back. And then he fills in and fights Alexander Volkov. And I was like, okay, I get it.
Prayers for Sassoli.
He's trying to do here. But I don't think that's a very good matchup for him. And it turned out to not be a very good matchup for him because Alexander Volkov kind of just technically struck him to a decision win. And I think that's kind of how this fight is slated to go if Volkov isn't able to knock out Walt Harris. And from what I've seen at a Walt Harris, when he gets KO'd, it's typically via ground and pound. And I don't know, man. I just think that I think that Volkov's a very good striker. Looking at Curtis Blades is a very, very underrated stand-up striker, being such a guy who relies on his wrestling, his takedown game, his ground and pound ability. I think that people kind of underestimate his stand-up a little bit, and he's a very good stand-up striker, and Volkov got him very, very tired and blasted him with a head kick, and also survived against one of the greatest ground and pound fighters in the UFC right now. So I don't put too much stock into him losing against Curtis Blades and then getting knocked out by Derek Lewis. I think everybody knows how that fight went before the knockout. And as one of my favorite lines I've ever heard Zach say, everybody loses to Derek Lewis. Everyone until they get knocked out, or everyone's beating Derek Lewis until they get knocked out. Because that's typically how it goes. Shout out Alexei Olenek.
Yep.
And then, so yeah, looking at the streak that Volkov had before that Lewis fight, you got six fight win streak going up against Derek Lewis. If that fight is maybe a minute shorter, he gets another win. 7 fight win streak, defeats Greg Hardy. 8 fight win streak.
Well, he would have got the title fight if he beat Lewis.
Probably, definitely, actually.
Because Lewis got the title
Lewis went on to get the title fight. You're right. So then the Greg Hardy fight gets that win, and then Curtis Blades. I don't think there's a way that you can disregard that loss. So we won't. So yeah, losing against Curtis Blades. I think right now, if you were to take Stipe Miocic, imagine if Stipe Miocic just were to up and retire after the Daniel Cormier fight, which I thought was pretty likely, but hey, he didn't, and I'm happy. Right now, the UFC heavyweight title fight would probably be Francis Ngannou versus Curtis Blades, number 3.
3.
So losing to him in decision, and everybody knows what Curtis Blades looked like after that fight. I don't put too much stock into it either, to be honest. So I just think it's sad. I want to see Walt Harris win. I really, really do. But being 37 years old, coming off of a knockout loss, I don't know, man. I got to go with Volkov on this one. I think he's too technical for Harris. I don't think that Harris is able to knock him out. Looking at out of 39 fights, Volkov has been knocked out twice against 2 of the best knockout artists in the MMA world has ever seen. So I don't know, man. I got to go with Volkov on this one. I don't think he's able to knock out Harris. I think he's probably able to piece him up to a decision, and I think this fight looks a lot like the Greg Hardy fight. But man, shout out to Walt Harris. I want to see him fight. I was kind of sad when I saw him get matched up with Volkov because I want to see Harris get a win because the man deserves it, as we all know. But I got to go with Volkov in this one. Got to use my head, and I think Volkov wins this one via decision.
I agree. I really want to see Walt Harris get the win. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen. Alexander Volkov is one of the best strikers in the heavyweight division, as Michael said, and I will echo that sentiment because it's true. His technical kickboxing for someone of his size is kind of marvelous. It's insane. People that big are not supposed to strike as well as he does, but he does. And he pretty much he's looked amazing in his UFC tenure so far, minus the Curtis Blades fight. And he had moments of success in that. And let's keep it out. You look at the stat line against Alexander Volkov and Derek Lewis, you see 121 strikes to 39, and yet Derek Lewis wins. That fight was 10 seconds shorter, as you said. If I would have been over, Volkov would have fought for the title. But that's not how this world works. And I think that mistake that Volkov kind of got sloppy because he thought he was winning, that mistake he has fixed. And I see the fight with Walt Harris going very similar because I think that Derek Lewis and Walt Harris are relatively similar fighters. Their game plan is to march forward, use their size to bully their opponents back, and then use their power to knock them out. Except Derek Lewis has been way more successful in using that than Walt Harris has, because Walt Harris, you look at the level of competition that he's beaten, and it is not the highest. I mean, out of his wins in the UFC, only Oleinik, Spivak, and Chase Sherman are still in the UFC. Chase Sherman got hit with a drug test today. I don't know what, but he was cut by the UFC at one point. So this is, I think, outside of Overeem, this is the best fighter that Volkov that Harris has ever fought. And his negative strike differential does not give me a lot of hope, because if he cannot knock out Alexander Volkov in the first round, it's going to be bad, because Harris gasses, and he gasses pretty hard. I mean, you can't really blame him. He throws a lot of power. He's a big guy, and he is also 37 years old. So you can't really fault him for gassing the way that he does, but he does. And again, if this fight goes out of the first round, go to the live betting line and place your entire bank account on Alexander Volkov, because it is going to happen. Volkov is going to win if this fight goes past the first, and he's going to win in general. I think his technical striking, as you said, his technical kickboxing, and the way that he likes to mix it up sometimes is going to be too much for Harris to handle, and that's why he's going to win. Alexander Volkov by late finish.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you. So we got a unanimous decision here. So make sure you guys are just letting us know if you can prove us wrong, and if you guys also agree with us. So point is, man, just let us know what you guys are saying. UFC 254, man, we got the co-main event next. I'm hyped to talk about it, and we got the main event to talk about, and I am very hyped to talk about that as well. So make sure you guys are checking those videos out, checking out the prelims. Point is, man, just make sure you guys are showing your support, liking the video, subscribing to the channel, check out the other Fight Pick videos.